Morning. So we have our guest here, Miss Paula. Kindly please introduce us to yourself po and state your basic academic background.
Okay. Hello, good morning. I am Maria Paula Frederica M. Neri. I graduated in Xavier University in year 2009 with a bachelor's degree in education, secondary education, major in English. I am also currently taking up my master's degree in school management, also in Xavier University. I have been teaching since I graduated. So this is already my 14th year of teaching. So I previously worked at St. Mary's School, Mandumol, Makasandig, for 9 years. But now I am currently connected with Xavier University Junior High School as one of its faculty members working in the English department.
Wow, that's so impressive. I like that you really have a long experience of work. So moving forward, when was the time that you realized that teaching was your passion or your calling?
Okay. Um, I could honestly say that I wanted to become a teacher since I was very young. At a very young age, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. So the goal was really to finish college with a degree in education. So nothing deterred me from that goal. So eventually, no, from basic ed, from grade school until high school, the goal was to really teach. On the whole process of teaching, because the question is, when did I find my passion in teaching? At that point, I realized when I was in high school or when I was in grade school, it was just something that, I like to do. I love to talk to people. But when I got into the field of education, when I started teaching, I really thought that at one point the teaching wasn't for me. So I did take up some units in bachelor's of laws. I was a law student. And that was the time that I realized that my passion was not into lawyering, that my passion was really into teaching. So if you're going to ask me at what point did I realize that teaching is my passion, it was when I started teaching and when I tried to find myself in other fields. But at that moment when I was already in the process, I told myself that, okay, this isn't for me. One thing that I really love to do is to teach. That's why I did not pursue my Bachelor of Laws. So I continued teaching. And here I am after many years still teaching.
So it's really good that when you were young or when you were still a kid, like you have already discovered initially what you want in life. And it's
Yes.
good that you have achieved it, no? So moving forward, since you have said that you've been teaching already for years, and I think it's almost a decade. So what were the struggles and challenges that you have faced as a teacher throughout in your journey?
Okay. One of the biggest struggles really is change. Okay, changes, especially in terms of curriculum, especially in terms of the Department of Education's mandates, because I have gone through the K-pop to the K to 12 to the performance tasks. I mean, there were already a lot of changes over the decades. So that is one of the most difficult things that I had to endure. But still, I believe no that these changes will still be for the betterment of our educational system. So I just adjust. Other things also, it's really the addressing or bridging the generational gap that I have with my students. When I started teaching, I was still able to relate to them because I was still 19, 20 years old when I first started teaching. So I was still able to relate to my students. But now as I got older and after so many years, I realized that there is already a very big generational gap, that the interests of my students are not the same as I currently have. So that actually makes it very difficult right now because it's difficult for them to find the relevance of what I am teaching because I cannot also because I have difficulty finding that common ground wherein we can, wherein they can relate and where I can also share ideas and
Yeah.
information. And lastly, just so we can have 3 points for the difficulties. No? Lastly, is really on the changes right now in terms of how we perceive mental health. This is one thing that has been plaguing the education, the institutions right now. No, the issue on mental health because the way we discipline our students before will be very different from the way we are expected to discipline the students now because of this issue of mental health. And this is something very valid. This is something that teachers would really have to look into. And this is already parang, we are already on that process of addressing this, but it is still a difficult journey. So yeah, so these are the things that really made these are the things that I consider to be more some of the difficult challenges that I had to face for many years in teaching.
Yes, what you actually have said was also other teachers have pointed that out and say that. And I think that our government should really do something about it. And we as a teacher should really be the catalyst for change. No? So
Yes, yes, yes.
what are your advice for those people who aspire to become a teacher like you po?
Okay. My advice is that one thing you have to be tough. You have to be tough because when I say tough, it doesn't mean that you have to be very strict and disciplining students and all, although that's part of the work. But when I say tough, you have to be emotionally tough because it's really a roller coaster ride. We don't just teach students, we guide the students, we become mentors, sometimes we even become guidance counselors. The students don't just look at teachers as people who will teach, we are not just being limited to just be teachers, but we can all but we they are also expecting us to be their counselors, to be their friend, to be the one that they can run to. So it's really an emotional journey. Also, we have to be flexible. If you aspire to become a teacher, you have to be flexible. There will be a lot of changes, like what I have mentioned, a lot of changes in the curriculum that had happened already. And it required us to adjust and to be flexible. Because if we cannot be flexible, if we cannot adjust, or if we cannot open to change, then we will be left behind and our students will not appreciate it because that's the traditional way of teaching, right? So we have to be very flexible. And of course, given what happened in 2020, wherein we had to shift to online, that was also one of the most difficult things that we had to face. So teachers have to adjust immediately. Okay, teachers have to adjust immediately because we cannot expect that our students are more adjusted compared to us because we have to be there. We always have to be 3 steps ahead of our students. That it does not only include knowledge in terms of these different subjects, but we have to be 3 steps ahead of them or more than 3 steps ahead of them in terms of emotional maturity. So kana lang yun siya, being tough and being tough in this world, being tough to face all of these challenges, and of course, being flexible to whatever changes which will occur in the teaching profession.
Yes, it is really indeed true. So like, we need to be really prepared when challenges come, like when unexpected things to come. We should be there to um be the guide for the students, no, and we should always be someone that they could lean on.